The chamber is open, and it is full of whispers. Halloween night, 1981, is supposed to be a clean break in the story, a bright line between war and peace, a single flash of green light, a single dead family, a single surviving child. The version everyone knows is neat, tragic, and simple enough to fit on a chocolate frog card. But what if the magic that night didn't choose simplicity? What if Lily Potter's protection didn't save only her son? What if it saved all three Potters, James, Lily, and Harry, at once? At first glance, it sounds like the gentlest alternate timeline imaginable. No cupboard under the stairs, no decade of neglect, no lonely boy learning what love is from friends because he never received it at home. Instead, parents who lived, who fought, who held their baby after the worst night of their lives and swore they would never let darkness touch him again. It sounds like a happy ending. But happy endings aren't how war works. War doesn't conclude. It changes shape. It hides. It waits. And when you take the most famous child in the world, the child a prophecy has already named, and you place him inside a warm, loving home, you don't erase the danger. You concentrate it. Because here is the detail people forget when they dream about this timeline. The prophecy doesn't dissolve just because James and Lily survive. Voldemort's body is destroyed, yes. His followers scatter, yes. The ministry celebrates, yes. But the prophecy remains like a loaded wand on the table. Neither can live while the other survives. So James and Lily, alive and breathing and holding their son, don't get to pretend the future is harmless. They get a new, harder task, raising a child who is both beloved and marked, raising a boy who will never be allowed to become ordinary, even if he wants to, raising Harry Potter while the world watches, while enemies sharpen their knives, while rumors multiply like cursed mirrors, and while the scar on his forehead becomes a family wound instead of a solitary one. And it begins the moment the curse rebounds. Godric's hollow is quiet that night, quiet in that strange, braced way that means the world is holding its breath. Inside the cottage, Lily is already shaking, already exhausted, because fear is not only a feeling, fear is work. It is warding spells and counterspells. It is reading old books by candlelight, tracing protection sigils until your fingers ache. It is listening for footsteps outside the window and wondering if you'll hear them too late. James is downstairs with his wand, doing what he always promised he would do, standing between danger and his family, even if the danger has a name that makes grown wizards flinch. He can feel the wards straining. He can feel the Fidelius itself trembling like glass under pressure. He doesn't have time to wonder what's gone wrong, only time to react. And then the air changes. Cold pours through the house as if someone opened a door to winter. The lights dim. The world narrows. The hair on James's arms rises, and somewhere in the walls the magic screams. Voldemort is inside. James runs. Upstairs, in the nursery, Lily has already moved. Not as a mother in a storybook, but as a witch who has made her decision months ago and has been preparing to enact it ever since. Harry is in his crib, too young to understand, too young to fear, his small hands opening and closing, as if he's catching dreams. Lily steps in front of him, not because she expects to win, because she expects to bind. For weeks, while the war howled outside their hidden home, Lily had done something almost no one knew she was capable of. She had researched protection magic in the way only she could, relentlessly, precisely, with a kind of stubborn brilliance that refused to accept impossible as an answer. She had read about old sacrificial protections, love invoked through death, yes, but she had also found scraps of older things, half-forgotten things, protections that didn't merely shield a target, but braided lives together like threads. A web, not a wall. Something that could anchor, something that could catch the killing curse and make it hesitate. Voldemort's footsteps are soft on the nursery floorboards, as if even the house wants to pretend he isn't there. When he speaks, it is with cold impatience, like someone addressing an insect that refuses to die quickly. Stand aside. Lily doesn't. Not Harry. Please, not Harry. There is no bargaining in her voice, only something sharper. A command disguised as pleading, a final act of refusal. The green light erupts. It hits her, and in the same heartbeat, the magic Lily has woven snaps into place. The sacrifice, her willingness, her certainty, ignites first, because that is the oldest magic of all. But it doesn't stop there. It doesn't simply wrap around Harry like a cloak. The web engages, and instead of absorbing the curse in one clean exchange, it does something strange. It splits. Part of it lashes toward Harry, just enough to mark him, just enough to leave a lightning bolt scar that will become a legend before he learns to speak. Part of it whips back toward Voldemort, with violent, rebounding force. And the smallest, most dangerous fragment backfires into the web itself, like lightning striking a net and electrifying every strand. For a fraction of a second, the nursery becomes a storm. Magic cracks the air. The walls tremble. The windows explode outward. The room fills with light that isn't green anymore. White hot, blinding, too much. Voldemort's body cannot hold under it. He is ripped apart, not neatly, not kindly. His form collapses, as if something invisible has torn the structure of him apart from the inside. It is not death in the way mortal people mean death. It is destruction. It is absence. Harry screams. Lily falls. And then Lily breathes. She is on the nursery floor, her muscles burning, her skin buzzing as if she has been struck by a dozen hexes at once. Her heart is hammering so violently she thinks it might break her ribs. Her ears ring. The room smells of scorched wood and bitter dark magic. Harry is crying in the crib. Alive. Lily drags herself upright, her hands shaking so badly she can barely grip the edge of the mattress. And footsteps are pounding up the stairs. James bursts in, wand raised, eyes wild, breath ragged. He looks like a man who has just fought a war in a hallway. There's blood on his forehead, there's dust in his hair, but he is alive. Lily. James's voice cracks on her name because he sees her standing, sees Harry crying, sees the room half destroyed, and his mind refuses to accept what his eyes are telling him. Harry. Lily gasps, forcing the words out. Check, Harry. James is at the crib in 2 strides, lifting his son with hands that tremble despite all his bravery. Harry's face is red from crying. There's blood on his forehead, a thin line at first, already darkening into something shaped like lightning. He's bleeding, James says, but it's not deep. He's Merlin. He's alive. Lily swallows, nausea and relief colliding inside her. The curse rebounded. James, it worked. It destroyed. The question is the next knife. Because even with the smoke and the ruins and the shock, they both know this. You don't stop fearing Voldemort just because you want to. Fear is habit, when it has been trained into you by war. Lily staggers to her feet. We have to make sure. We have to check the house. They search with wands raised. Downstairs is wreckage. The protective wards are torn open like ripped cloth. The front room is scorched. The air tastes wrong, but there is no body. No dark cloak. No cruel laughter lingering in a corner. Only the feeling of something that has been here and is not here now. He's gone, James says finally, voice hoarse. And then she looks down at Harry's scar, at the tiny mark that already seems to throb with meaning, and she feels the first ripple of dread, because it isn't over. An hour later, Sirius Black arrives like a hurricane. He has felt the Fidelius break. He has felt the world tilt. He bursts through what remains of the front door, wand out, eyes burning with panic, ready to die if he must. And then he stops. James and Lily are standing in the ruined nursery with Harry in Lily's arms. They look like ghosts who forgot to lie down. "You're alive," Sirius breathes. James laughs once, sharp and disbelieving, and Sirius is across the room in a second, grabbing him, crushing him in a fierce hug that is half relief and half fury at the universe for even trying. Padfoot, James manages, voice thick. Sirius pulls back and stares at Lily as if she's a miracle he can't explain. "How are you alive?" "He kills everyone. No one survives the killing curse." Lily swallows. "I didn't survive it." "Not really. I redirected it." James turns slightly as if shielding her from the memory. "Even now." "Lily did something," he says. "Protection magic." It rebounded. Sirius's gaze drops to Harry's forehead. The scar. "Alive," Lily says firmly. "He's alive, and we're going to keep him that way." By dawn, the house is swarming with aurors, ministry officials, order members who arrive one by one like survivors stumbling back into daylight. Some are crying, some are pale, some look at Harry like he is an altar. Albus Dumbledore arrives last. He looks older than they have ever seen him. His usual calm seems stripped away by the sheer weight of what he is witnessing. He stands in the nursery and stares at the broken wall and the scorch marks and the small family in the center of it all, as if the universe has rewritten itself overnight. "You survived," he says quietly. "Both of you. And Harry. Extraordinary." Lily doesn't feel extraordinary. She feels like someone who has just been struck by her own spell and is still trying to stand upright. But she answers anyway, because this matters, and Dumbledore's understanding matters most of all. "The ritual I researched, it worked. Better than I expected. When Voldemort cast the curse, it rebounded. Destroyed his body, I think. But part of it still struck Harry." Dumbledore's eyes fix on the lightning bolt. "May I examine him?" Lily hesitates, protective instinct flaring. Then she forces herself to nod. She trusts Dumbledore. She has to. Trust is the only thing holding the Order together, and she cannot rebuild the world on suspicion alone. Dumbledore's wand moves in a sequence of diagnostic spells, so delicate they look like music. The longer he examines, the graver his expression becomes. "There is dark magic here," he says finally, "connected to the scar." James's hand tightens on his wand. "What kind of dark magic?" "A connection," Dumbledore says slowly, choosing each word as if it might explode. "Between Harry and Voldemort. When the curse struck and rebounded, it may have left something behind." Lily feels the room tilt. James's voice goes sharp. "He's not gone. His body is destroyed," Dumbledore says. "But his soul endures. He will seek to return." Silence falls like ash. This is the moment their happy ending cracks. Because survival is not victory. Survival is a second chance. Survival is a battlefield with different terrain. Lily looks down at her son, at his tiny fist gripping her finger, and something fierce rises inside her that is not fear and not grief, but a third thing entirely. "Then we prepare," she says. Dumbledore's gaze lifts. "Lily." "No." Lily interrupts, voice steady in a way that surprises even her. "You know the prophecy. You know what it means. If Voldemort will return, then our son will face him someday. We can't change that. But we can decide whether Harry goes into it blind." James nods, jaw tight. He won't face it alone. It is not a vow made in romance. It is a vow made in war. The Ministry, desperate to claim a clean victory, declares Voldemort defeated by a 15-month-old baby. Headlines scream about miracles. Wizards weep in the streets. Witches throw parties like the world has been reborn. Death Eaters scatter, some caught, some slipping away behind money and influence and excuses. For the public, it is over. For the Potters, it begins. Because the price of surviving as symbols is that your home becomes public property. Your child becomes a story people tell themselves to feel safe. And every person who feels threatened by that story will want to tear it apart. That is the first true ripple of this timeline. James and Lily Potter do not get to grieve in private, do not get to recover quietly. They become the center of a new wizarding world overnight, and their sun is the brightest flame in the middle of it. They return to a repaired cottage, mended by magic, but still carrying invisible cracks. Lily wards it until the walls hum. James consults old family protections, ancient pure-blood enchantments meant to keep heirs alive. Sirius practically moves in, refusing to leave them vulnerable for a second. Remus visits as often as he can, welcomed like family because in this timeline, he is not forced into the shadows by poverty and isolation. The marauders circle the Potters like protective moons, and somewhere, far away in a place too cold and filthy to be called a home, a disembodied piece of Voldemort clings to existence and waits. Because he is patient when he must be. And prophecy is a promise. The whispers don't stop when the war ends. They only change their tone. They become softer, more polite, threaded with awe instead of fear. But they still crawl under doors, still press against window panes, still find their way into conversations the moment James and Lily walk into a room. People whisper because they don't know what else to do with a miracle. They whisper because it's easier to reduce a family to a symbol than to accept that 3 human beings were almost erased in a single night. And in this timeline, the miracle isn't only Harry. It is Lily, still alive after standing in front of the killing curse. It is James, still breathing despite facing Voldemort wand-to-wand, and living. It is a family that should be a tombstone, but is instead a heartbeat that terrifies people in ways they don't admit. Because if the Potters survived, then the rules aren't as fixed as everyone thought. The world is less predictable. Magic is less obedient. And if Voldemort can fall, then maybe he can rise again. James and Lily learn quickly that surviving makes you public property. The first owl arrives before they've even finished repairing the nursery wall. It is addressed in trembling ink, as if the sender's hand couldn't stop shaking long enough to form proper letters. To the Potters, thank you. The second owl is heavier, carrying a fruit basket with a card that says, "For the boy who saved us all." The third owl is worse. No gift, no gratitude. A thin parchment, smeared with something dark at the edges. You should have died with him. Lily reads that one twice, very slowly, then folds it into a neat square and burns it with a silent flame. She doesn't cry. She doesn't shout. She doesn't tremble. She only looks up at James and says, in a voice that has become frighteningly calm, "We need stronger wards. They build them. They layer them. They anchor them with blood and intent and old family magic and new charms Lily invents out of sheer stubborn refusal." Their cottage becomes a fortress disguised as a home. The garden looks normal. The chimney smokes. The curtains flutter. But the air around the property is thick with protective enchantments, and anything dark that drifts too close feels the invisible pressure of a boundary that will not yield. It is necessary. It is also suffocating. The wizarding world is not subtle in its hunger. People want stories, details, reassurance. They want to touch the scar like it's a relic. They want to look into Lily's eyes and see proof that sacrifice can be cheated, that love can bend death and come back smiling. Dumbledore tries to intervene, of course. He suggests privacy. He offers Hogwarts a sanctuary. He proposes complex concealment spells and relocation. But James Potter is not an orphaned boy with no power. James Potter is wealthy. James Potter is from an old family with influence in the ministry and a last name that opens doors. James Potter also has a temper when he thinks someone is trying to take his son from him. And Lily Potter, war hero, brilliant witch, muggle-born who stood in front of Voldemort and lived, has a kind of moral authority the ministry can't threaten without looking monstrous. So the Potters stay. They choose Godric's Hollow because it is a place that understands old magic, because it is a village where wizarding families have lived for centuries, and the land itself feels anchored, because Lily refuses to let fear make choices for her after everything she has already survived. They stay, and they learn to manage the world like they manage wards, by setting boundaries, reinforcing them, and accepting that nothing will ever be perfectly safe. Harry grows up inside that tension. He is not abused. He is not neglected. He is loved so fiercely it is almost painful. But he is also watched, always watched. The first time James takes Harry to Diagon Alley, Harry is 3 and still small enough to fall asleep on James's shoulder. Lily holds his little hand as they weave through the crowd, trying to make it feel like a normal outing. Just robes, just sweets, just a mother and father introducing their child to the world he belongs to. It lasts approximately 7 seconds. A woman notices them near Flourish and Blots. Her eyes go wide. Her hand flies to her mouth. And then she whispers, not quietly enough, "It's him." The ripple spreads instantly. Heads turn. Conversations stop. Witches and wizards press forward like waves. A man begins to cry, openly. Someone reaches toward Harry's hair, as if they're entitled to touch it. Someone else shouts his name, like calling it will make the war feel more distant. Harry wakes up to noise. He blinks, confused, and sees strangers staring at him with expressions that don't make sense. Gratitude, reverence, desperation, hunger. James turns sharp, stepping sideways to block them with his body. "Back off," he snaps, voice carrying the old authority he used in the Order. He's a child. They hear Boy Who Lived, and in their minds, Boy Who Lived is not a toddler with sticky hands and sleep in his eyes. Boy Who Lived is a symbol, a spell, a shield. Lily's voice cuts through the crowd with a precision that makes people flinch. If you want to thank someone, thank the people who died to bring Voldemort down. Thank the families who didn't survive. Thank the Order members who fought for 10 years. My son doesn't owe you his skin. There's a silence after that. Brief, startled. Then the apologies begin, awkward and flustered, as if people have only just remembered Harry is made of flesh and not legend. But it doesn't stop it from happening again and again. Harry learns, before he learns multiplication, that he is not invisible in public. He learns that he is a story other people tell. He learns that strangers will cry at the sight of him, will thank him for something he can't remember, will sometimes look at him with hatred, because they can't stand the idea that a baby succeeded where grown wizards failed. By 4 years old, he can read expressions like a skill. By 5, he can tell when someone is about to approach him. By 6, he knows how to keep his face neutral when people stare. James and Lily try to counterbalance it. They fill their home with ordinary warmth, the smell of toast in the morning, the sound of music Lily hums while she cooks, the way James lifts Harry onto his shoulders and runs through the garden like a broomless Quidditch chase. Sirius visits and turns the living room into a circus of laughter, conjuring harmless fireworks and teaching Harry card tricks that are technically cheating but feel like magic anyway. Remus sits with Harry for hours, reading stories in a gentle voice, explaining complicated things in ways that don't make them frightening. He teaches Harry patience and kindness, teaches him that cleverness isn't always about winning, it's about understanding. Harry grows up with family at the table, with adults who adore him, with hands that ruffle his hair, Because they can, because they're allowed, because nothing in this house touches him without love. But even in this warmth, there is training. It begins quietly, not as drills, not as a boot camp, as habits. James insists on situational awareness the way other fathers insist on looking both ways before crossing the street. Where's your nearest exit, Promslet? Harry points. Good. If the room goes wrong, you don't freeze, you move. Lily teaches him to breathe when he's upset. In through your nose, out through your mouth. Focus on the feeling of your feet on the floor. Focus on something steady. Your mind is yours, Harry. No one gets to storm it just because they're louder. Harry doesn't know the word occlumency yet. He just knows that when he concentrates on Lily's voice and the rhythm of his breath, the world feels less sharp. Because sometimes the scar tingles. It's subtle at first, a faint buzzing sensation under the skin, like a tiny electric itch. The first time Harry mentions it, he's 3. Lily is brushing his hair after a bath, trying to tame the stubborn black mess he inherited from James. Why does it feel funny? He asks, touching his forehead. Lily's hand stills. Funny how? Like it's warm, Harry says, frowning. Like something's tickling inside it. Lily's stomach turns over. When does it do that? Harry shrugs. When I'm thinking hard, or when I'm mad. Lily finishes brushing his hair with hands that are just slightly too controlled. Then she kisses his forehead, tucks him into bed, and walks out of the room with the calm smile of a mother who refuses to scare her child. The moment the door closes, she stops smiling. James, she says. He looks up instantly, reading her expression the way he learned to read battlefield signals. What? The scar is active. The words sit between them like a new thread. They call Dumbledore, not through owls, not through letters, through direct, immediate means, because this is not the sort of information you risk being intercepted. Dumbledore comes within the hour, cloak billowing, eyes sharp with concern. He examines Harry again, this time with deeper spells. Harry squints at him in mild annoyance, like a child who doesn't understand why adults are always so worried. Does it hurt? Dumbledore asks gently. Harry considers. Not really. Just weird. Dumbledore's expression doesn't soften. It is as we feared, he murmurs. When Harry is distracted by a hovering sugar quill, Sirius is enchanted to dance in the air. The connection remains. James's jaw clenches. So Voldemort can, what? See through him? Not consistently, Dumbledore says. But it is possible. The scar is a wound created by dark magic. It is also a tether. If Voldemort is still in the world, diminished but present, he may be able to reach along that tether under certain conditions. Lily's voice is tight. Then we teach Harry to block him. James looks at her like she's lost her mind. He's 3. I know, Lily says, and her eyes are fierce. But James, if Voldemort can reach our son, we do not wait until he's 11 and helpless and alone at school. We start now. We start gently. We start with discipline. We start with mental training. We build a foundation that will protect him later. Dumbledore watches them, sadness and respect mixing in his gaze. You are asking your child to carry a burden most adults cannot bear, he says quietly. No, Lily says. The world already forced that burden on him. We're asking him to survive it. They compromise the only way parents can compromise with prophecy, by making it a routine instead of a trauma. They don't call it occlumency. They don't tell Harry he's building defenses against the mind of the most dangerous wizard in history. They make it a game. Lily sits with him on the rug in front of the fireplace. Close your eyes, sweetheart. Imagine your mind is a house. If you want someone inside, you open the door. If you don't, you lock it. Harry giggles. Like when Sirius tries to sneak biscuits and you tell him no. Exactly, Lily says, smiling like it isn't breaking her heart. So Harry learns to lock doors in his imagination. He learns to picture walls, to picture calm, to picture still water that doesn't ripple when stones are thrown. Sometimes he's good at it. Sometimes he isn't, because he is still a child, and children feel things without filters. When Harry is 5, the first real fracture happens. Not at a dueling practice, not during training, not from a dark wizard. From other children, James and Lily have tried to give Harry a normal childhood, where they can. They let him attend a small Muggle primary school, under a different surname, carefully chosen. They ward him with subtle protective charms. They make sure he isn't alone, that a trusted Order member is always nearby in case something goes wrong. Harry likes school. He likes crayons. He likes playground swings. He likes being surrounded by children who don't whisper, "Boy who lived," who don't cry when they see him, who don't stare at his forehead like it's holy. For a while it works, until one day a child's older brother picks Harry up from the swings by his coat collar and says, with the cruel confidence of someone repeating what he heard at home, "My mum says you're famous. She says you did something and people clap for you." Harry blinks. "I'm just Harry." "No, you're Harry Potter," the boy says, pleased with himself for knowing. "You're a wizard. Show us magic." Harry's stomach knots. He has been told again and again, no magic in public, no magic where muggles can see, no magic that risks exposure. It's not fear that taught him that rule. It's responsibility. "I can't," he says quickly. "It's against the rules." The older boy scoffs. "Bet you can't do any magic anyway. Bet you're just normal." And everyone lied. The words shouldn't matter. They do. Because Harry has grown up with people worshipping him for something he doesn't remember. He has grown up with expectations pressing on his shoulders like invisible hands. He has grown up trying to be good, trying to be worth the gratitude, trying to be the person everyone insists he is. And in that moment, being called normal doesn't feel like freedom. It feels like failure. Something inside him snaps. Not anger exactly. Pressure. Years of it, condensed into a child's panic and pride. The swings behind him shudder. Then they lift, chains rattling, seat rising without anyone touching it. The metal creaks as if it's being pulled upward by an invisible hand. The children scream. One falls backward off the slide. Another runs, crying for their mum. The older boy's face goes pale with terror, and he bolts like he's seen a monster. Harry stands in the center of it, wide-eyed, shaking, horrified by what he's done. The swings drop back down with a clatter. Silence rushes in after the screams, leaving Harry alone on the playground like a small island. When Lily finds him, he's under a tree, knees pulled to his chest, crying so hard he hiccups. "They wanted me to be special," he sobs. "They wanted me to do magic, and when I did, they got scared. I didn't mean to scare them. I didn't want to." Lily kneels in the grass and pulls him into her arms. Her own eyes sting, because this is what fame does to children. It makes them believe their worth is performance. It makes them chase approval and then punishes them for being different. "You didn't do anything wrong," Lily murmurs, rocking him gently. "You got overwhelmed. Accidental magic happens. It's normal for witches and wizards your age." But Harry shakes his head violently against her shoulder. "I'm not supposed to be normal." The words hit Lily like a slap. She closes her eyes, because she knows exactly where that belief came from. It came from the world. It came from the whispers. It came from everyone who thanked Harry for saving them before he could even hold a spoon properly. It came from prophecy and newspapers and chocolate frog cards and strangers who kissed his forehead as if he belonged to them. And it came, too, from James and Lily's training. Because even when training is done gently, it still tells a child, you are not safe. You must be prepared. You are different. That night, after Harry is asleep, Lily and James sit in their kitchen, exhausted in a way that has nothing to do with physical battle. We're raising him inside a cage, James says quietly, staring at his hands. Even when it's a cage made of love. Lily's voice is raw. What choice do we have? James doesn't have an answer, because the choice was taken from them before Harry ever learned to speak. That is the second ripple of this timeline. Harry's childhood is not stolen by cruelty. It is stolen by necessity. And necessity still leaves scars. When Harry is 6, James begins flying lessons, not because Quidditch is crucial to survival, because James cannot stand the idea that everything in Harry's life is about war. So he buys a small training broom and takes Harry into the garden. Harry mounts like he was born for it, hands steady, eyes bright. When he rises into the air, laughter bursts out of him, pure and unburdened, the sound of a child who is not thinking about prophecy or Voldemort or scars. He loops around the apple tree, wobbly at first, then smoother, then faster. Sirius howls with delight from the grass below. That's it, that's it. Look at him. That's my godson. Lily watches with her hands clenched, because the sight is too joyful and too terrifying at once. Flying is freedom. Flying is also exposure. A child in the air is a child you can't shield with your body. James lands Harry gently, grinning like a boy himself. You've got it, Prongslet. You've absolutely got it. Harry's eyes shine. Can I go higher? James hesitates. For a moment, Lily sees the father in him fighting the soldier. Then James says, softly but firmly, not today. And Harry pouts as children do, and James ruffles his hair, and Lily breathes out because this is what their life becomes. Tiny negotiations between safety and joy, between letting Harry soar and keeping him alive. When Harry turns 7, the training shifts. Not dramatically, not officially, but James starts showing him pictures. This is the dark mark, James says one afternoon, laying a parchment on the table. If you ever see this, you leave. You tell an adult. You do not investigate. Harry studies it serious. Why would I see it? James's face tightens. Hopefully you won't, but you might. There are still people who supported Voldemort who didn't go to prison. There are still families who pretend they were innocent. There are still cowards who would hurt you because they think it would bring him back. Harry's scar tingles faintly, as if hearing the name in his father's thoughts. Lily touches Harry's hair, grounding him. Remember your breathing, sweetheart. Harry closes his eyes, takes a breath, and the tingling eases. James watches pride and grief mixed together because the sight is proof of success and proof of tragedy at the same time. They are teaching their son to lock doors in his mind. At 7, because Voldemort's shadow might still reach. By the time Harry is 8, he understands more than most adults realize. Children absorb truths the way soil absorbs rain, quietly, thoroughly, shaping everything that grows after. Harry knows his parents almost died because of him. He knows the scar exists because Voldemort wanted him erased. He knows his mother's magic saved them all, but it cost her something, even if she's alive. That night has carved itself into her. There are moments Harry catches Lily staring at his forehead, with an expression that looks like pain. There are nights James wakes up too fast, wand already in hand, because his body remembers attack. Harry sees that, and he begins to carry a weight cannon Harry never carried. Not abandonment, but guilt. A small boy's guilt, heavy and irrational but real. One evening, on the eve of his 8th birthday, Harry finds an old photo album Sirius brought over. It isn't the cheerful kind with posed family pictures. It's the order kind. Snapshots taken in hurried moments, proof that they were alive and fighting. There are pictures of the ruined nursery, pictures of scorch marks, pictures of baby Harry with blood on his forehead, and one picture, taken just after dawn, of James holding Harry while Lily stands beside them, face pale, eyes fierce, looking like someone who dared death to return. Harry stares at it for a long time. Then Lily finds him. He doesn't look up when she sits beside him. "Mom," he says quietly, "do you ever wish Voldemort never came? That none of this happened?" Lily's chest tightens, because she has wished that 1,000 times. But she also knows wishing doesn't change anything. So she answers with the truth he deserves. "I wish Voldemort never existed," she says softly. "I wish he never hurt anyone. I wish the war never happened. But Harry, I can't wish you away. And that night is part of your story. It's part of ours." Harry's small fingers trace the edge of the photograph. "I'm going to have to kill him someday, aren't I?" The question is quiet, not dramatic, not heroic. Just a child naming the shape of his destiny the way a child names the shape of the moon. Lily's eyes burn. She wants to lie. She wants to say, "No, sweetheart, you'll never have to. The war is over. You're safe. You're just a little boy." But she made a promise to herself the night she survived. She would never betray Harry with comforting lies that left him unprepared. So she swallows her grief and speaks carefully. "Yes," she says, "someday. When you're older, when you're trained, when you're ready." Harry's voice trembles slightly. "What if I'm not ready?" Lily pulls him into her arms with fierce tenderness. "Then we will spend our lives helping you become ready," she whispers into his hair. "But Harry, being ready doesn't mean you stop living. It doesn't mean you stop being a child. It means you learn and you grow and you have people beside you." Harry clings to her, and Lily feels the tremor in his body. Fear, yes, but also determination. That is the third ripple. In this timeline, Harry grows up loved, and love does not erase fear. Sometimes it sharpens it, because when you have something precious, you are terrified of losing it. James and Lily are terrified all the time. They hide it as best they can, but Harry senses it anyway. Children always do. So Harry becomes careful. He checks door locks without being asked. He pays attention to grown-ups' wands. He memorizes names of Death Eaters the way other children memorize football teams. He can laugh loudly with Sirius and then go silent instantly when his scar prickles. He can race across the garden on a broom and then, later that night, lie awake wondering where Voldemort is hiding. And in the background, always, the wizarding world keeps whispering. The boy who lived, the family who lived, the miracle, the weapon, the target. By the time Harry's Hogwarts letter is only a year away, James and Lily finally realize something they have been avoiding naming. They cannot protect Harry from becoming the center of the story. All they can do is decide what kind of center he becomes. A symbol that breaks under pressure, or a person strong enough to carry destiny without losing himself. And that question will follow Harry onto the Hogwarts Express, like a shadow. The summer before Hogwarts is the first time Harry feels the future as something with teeth. Up until now, destiny has been a story his parents tell him in careful pieces. Voldemort is out there. The prophecy exists. Someday you'll have to face him. But those words have lived at the edge of childhood, held back by the warm, ordinary things that still fill Harry's days. Flying in the garden, Remus's quiet lessons, Sirius's laughter, Lily's steady hands, James's proud grin when Harry does something brave. Hogwarts changes the equation, because Hogwarts means separation. Hogwarts means distance. Hogwarts means, for the first time in Harry's life, a world where James and Lily cannot simply step between him and danger with wands raised. James and Lily talk about it the way people talk about storms, not with panic, never panic, but with constant planning. They talk about which wards will travel with Harry on his skin, which charms can be woven into his clothes without affecting ministry detection spells, which items can be packed that will help him in emergencies without turning him into a walking arsenal. Sirius suggests giving him something illegal. Just a little something, he says, leaning back in their kitchen chair like he's proposing a harmless prank. A cursed coin that bites anyone who tries to steal it. Or a ring that sets off a blinding flash if a Death Eater gets within 10 feet. Or, better yet, a knife. No knives, Lily says flatly. It's not a knife, Sirius protests. It's a very pointy self-defense tool. James snorts. We're not arming our son with a pointy self-defense tool, Padfoot. Sirius looks offended. Fine. No pointy tools. But at least let me teach him a few proper tricks. The kind that keep you alive. Remus, sitting quietly with a mug of tea, says gently, "You're all acting like Hogwarts is a battlefield." "It might be," Lily replies. Remus's gaze lifts, sad, but steady. "And if you treat it like one, you risk turning Harry into a soldier before he's even sorted." Harry, sitting on the living room floor with a stack of books, pretends not to listen. But he listens. He absorbs every word. Because part of him is thrilled about Hogwarts, about finally being in the castle he's heard about his whole life, finally learning magic properly, finally being somewhere that feels like it belongs to him. And part of him is terrified, not of classes, not of ghosts, of expectations, of the moment he steps onto the platform and becomes public again in a way his parents can't manage with sharp words and protective stances, of the moment he becomes a student among students and realizes that to children, fame is not gratitude. It is currency. It is cruelty. And underneath all of it, the scar is more active in summer heat. It tingles more often, not painfully, but persistently, like a faint reminder tapping at his skin. Voldemort is still out there, it seems to say. Don't forget, Harry's 11th birthday arrives with a kind of tension that makes the air feel electric. James insists on keeping it small. Lily insists on making it special anyway. So, there is a cake, homemade, uneven, iced with a messy golden snitch that Sirius swears he could improve, but Lily refuses to let him help after the last time he tried, and the icing exploded across the ceiling. There are presents, there is laughter, and there is, inevitably, an owl. It arrives at exactly 7 in the morning and circles the kitchen twice, like it's performing a ceremony before dropping a thick envelope into Lily's hands. Harry stares, because even though he has known it was coming, there is something about seeing the Hogwarts crest on a letter addressed to him that makes his chest tighten. "It's real," he whispers. James claps a hand on his shoulder. "It's real." Lily presses a kiss to Harry's hair. "Happy birthday, sweetheart. You're going to Hogwarts." Sirius cheers so loudly the windows rattle. Remus smiles quietly, eyes shining. Harry opens the envelope with fingers that are suddenly clumsy. The parchment inside is crisp and formal, and impossibly simple for something that changes your life. Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Harry reads it 3 times, as if he expects new words to appear each time. When he looks up, James and Lily are watching him like this is the first day of his life all over again. Like something precious is about to leave their hands and they can't bear it. "We'll go to Diagon Alley tomorrow," James says quickly, as if scheduling can hold off fear. "Get your supplies, your wand, everything." Harry nods. Then he sees the line that lists required items. Uniform, books, cauldron, wand, wand. Something about that makes his stomach flip, because a wand is not just a tool. It is the symbol of becoming real, of becoming capable, of becoming someone who can fight back. And he knows, that when his wand chooses him, the world will become sharper, because a wand makes you visible in a new way. It makes you dangerous. The next day, they go to Diagon Alley like a family trying to pretend the outing is normal. It isn't. The moment they step through the leaky cauldron, heads turn. A hush falls. Then, a wave of whispers and pointing and sudden crying begins, and Harry feels that familiar sinking sensation, the world recognizing him before it recognizes his personhood. James moves with practiced efficiency. He takes Harry's hand. Lily stays close on the other side. Sirius and Remus form a loose barrier around them. They've done this dance before, but this time, Harry isn't a toddler who can be carried away from it. This time, Harry has to walk through it. A witch rushes forward and grabs Harry's hand, pressing a kiss to his knuckles. "Bless you," she whispers. "Bless you, darling boy." Harry forces a polite smile because Lily taught him that kindness deserves kindness even when it's overwhelming. But inside, he feels small. He isn't blessing. He's a person. At Madame Malkin's, the measuring tape quivers with excitement, like even it knows he's famous. The shop assistant keeps sneaking glances at his forehead. At Flourish and Blots, the bookseller tries to gift him an entire set of defense books for the hero. At the ice cream parlor, someone offers to pay for his sundae. Harry learns something important in that trip. Gratitude can be a cage. People mean well. They truly do. But every thank you is also a reminder that the world expects him to earn their safety again someday. Then comes Ollivander's. The shop is narrow and dusty, full of stacked boxes, and the scent of old wood and magic so ancient it feels like breathing history. The bell above the door rings softly as they enter. Harry's heart starts pounding, not from fear, but from that sense again, teeth. Mr. Ollivander appears like a ghost, eyes pale and sharp, smiling as if he's been waiting for this moment for a decade. "Harry Potter," he says softly. Harry swallows. "Hello." Ollivander's gaze flicks to Lily, to James, to Sirius, to Remus, and there's something almost reverent there, like he's looking at living survivors of a story he thought ended. "I remember every wand I've ever sold, Mr. Potter," Ollivander murmurs. "Every single one. It is a gift, and it is a curse." James's voice is guarded. "We're here for Harry's wand." "Yes, yes," Ollivander says, already moving. "Of course. Let us see." He measures Harry's arms, his fingers, the space between his shoulders, the distance from his nose to his chin, muttering numbers like spell ingredients. Harry watches, trying to stay calm. Lily squeezes his shoulder gently. Then Ollivander begins handing Harry wands. The first is ash and unicorn hair. Harry takes it. A gust of wind bursts from the tip, slamming books off shelves. Ollivander snatches it away immediately. No. The second is elm and dragon heartstring. Harry flicks it. A sharp crack of light shoots out, scorching a line across the wooden floor. Ollivander's eyes narrow. Absolutely not. The third makes sparks that sting like nettles. The fourth causes the shop's bell to ring wildly, as if screaming. The fifth hums in Harry's hand like a warning. Time stretches. Harry tries wand after wand, and each one rejects him in some new, dramatic way. James looks increasingly tense, jaw clenched, as if each rejection is a threat. Lily watches Harry carefully, because she can see the strain building in him, the pressure of wanting to succeed, of wanting to be chosen, of wanting not to fail under the weight of expectation. Sirius starts making jokes to lighten the mood, but even his grin is tight. Remus stays quiet, steady, present, like a reminder to Harry that not being instantly perfect isn't a catastrophe. Finally, Ollivander pauses. His pale eyes fix on Harry with a kind of curiosity that borders on awe. "Curious," he whispers. He turns and climbs a ladder toward a high shelf, fingers tracing boxes until he finds one, and pulls it down with careful reverence. "I wondered," Ollivander says softly as he returns. "I wondered when I would see this wand again." He opens the box. Inside is a wand that looks simple at first glance. Holly, polished, clean, almost unassuming. Harry's breath catches, because the moment he sees it, his scar tingles. Not pain, recognition. Ollivander holds it out. Holly and phoenix feather, 11 inches. Nice and supple. Harry takes it. Warmth floods his hand instantly, like the wand has been waiting for his grip. Red and gold sparks burst from the tip and whirl around him like fireworks. Bright and alive, not violent, but celebratory. For a moment, the shop seems to breathe. Then, Ollivander speaks the words that make the warmth curdle into dread. "Curious indeed," he says. "Very curious." Harry swallows. "What?" Ollivander's eyes are sharp now. "The phoenix, whose tail feather is in your wand, gave only one other feather." Lily's posture stills. James's hand tightens on his own wand. Ollivander smiles faintly, as if delivering fate. "That feather resides in the wand of the Dark Lord." Silence. The dust in the air seems to hang frozen. Harry's stomach drops. Brother wands, not just a connection in his scar, not just prophecy. Now the very tool he will use to learn, to fight, to protect himself. His wand is tied to Voldemort's. "Is that bad?" Harry asks, voice smaller than he wants it to be. Ollivander tilts his head. "Not bad, Mr. Potter. Significant. The wand chooses the wizard. This wand chose you for a reason." Harry's scar tingles again, harder, as if agreeing. James's voice is harsh. "What reason?" Ollivander's gaze goes distant. "That remains to be seen." Outside the shop, the sunlight feels too bright. Harry walks between his parents, wand in his pocket, feeling its warmth like a pulse. He should feel excited. He does, a little. But mostly, he feels something else. The sense that the universe keeps binding him tighter to Voldemort, no matter what his parents do. Scar, prophecy, now wand. Every thread leads back to the same inevitable knot. That night, Harry lies in bed staring at the ceiling, wand in his hand. He turns it over, feeling the smooth wood, the balance, the way it fits him like it was made for him. It feels right, which is terrifying, because Voldemort's wand has always been wrong in his imagination. Something sharp, cruel, built for hurting. And yet they share the same core. 2 feathers from one phoenix, 2 wands that chose opposing destinies. Harry's door creaks open softly. Lily steps in, hair loose, face tired, eyes gentle. She sits on the edge of his bed the way she has done all his life. "Can't sleep?" she asks quietly. Harry shakes his head, thinking about the wand. Lily nods. "Me too." Harry's voice trembles despite himself. Everything's connected to him. The scar, the prophecy, and now this. It's like, no matter what I do, I'm still tied to Voldemort. Lily takes a slow breath. "Yes," she says honestly. "You are tied to him in ways you never asked for. But Harry, that isn't the only tie you have." Harry's throat tightens. It feels like the only one that matters. Lily's hand cups his cheek, warm and steady. "No," she says firmly. "The most important ties are the ones you chose, and the ones that chose you with love. You are tied to me, to your dad, to Sirius, to Remus, To every person who loves you, not for what you did when you were a baby. Harry's eyes sting. The prophecy says, I have to kill him, he whispers. Neither can live while the other survives. That means I have to end him. I'm 11, and I'm supposed to end the most powerful wizard who ever lived. Lily's heart breaks in her face, but her voice stays steady. Not yet, she says. You don't have to fight him today. Today you have to be 11. You have to go to Hogwarts and learn and laugh and make friends and have a life that's bigger than war. But I need to be ready, Harry says, desperate. What if he comes back when I'm not ready? Lily leans closer, forehead touching his for a moment. We've been preparing you your whole life, she whispers, and we will keep preparing you. But preparation is not the same as living. And Harry, this is the part you haven't learned yet. Living is part of your weapon. It's what makes you different from him. Harry closes his eyes, breathing in the scent of Lily's soap, grounding himself the way she taught him. I don't know how to be just Harry, he admits. I've always been the boy who lived. Lily's voice softens. Then you learn at Hogwarts. You find people who see you as Harry. You find things you love that have nothing to do with prophecy. You become someone whole enough to face destiny without losing yourself. Harry opens his eyes again. What if everyone at Hogwarts just wants the boy who lived? Then you keep looking until you find the ones who want you, Lily says simply. Because they exist. They will. And if they don't, if Hogwarts is cruel and hungry and full of whispers, then you write to me, and we figure it out together. Because you are not alone. The words settle into Harry's chest like a small, steady flame. September 1st arrives too quickly. Platform 9 3/4 is chaos. Trunks, owls, families, children laughing and crying and shouting over one another. And then, inevitably, the crowd shifts. Because someone sees Harry. Whispers begin. Heads turn. And for a moment, Harry is back in Diagon Alley, back in the leaky cauldron, back under the weight of being recognized before he is known. James crouches slightly in front of him, forcing Harry to meet his eyes. Remember, he says low, you don't owe anyone a performance. You don't owe anyone their version of you. Be yourself. And if someone tries to use you, you walk away. Lily hugs Harry tightly, and he feels her hands tremble just a little. Write to us, she murmurs, about everything, not just danger. Tell us about classes and friends and meals and stupid jokes. Tell us you're living. Harry nods, throat too tight to speak. Sirius ruffles his hair aggressively. Make trouble, pup. The fun kind, not the get-killed kind. Remus smiles softly. And be kind to yourself. Hogwarts is loud. Don't let it convince you you have to be loud back. Then the train whistle blows. Time moves. Harry climbs aboard. He finds a compartment, empty for now, and sits by the window. His hands grip the edge of the seat so tightly his knuckles go pale. On the platform, his parents look suddenly younger and older at once. Young because they're waving like ordinary parents, older because war has taught them how quickly goodbye can turn permanent. The train lurches. The platform begins to slide away. Harry watches until they are blurred, until they are gone, until all that remains is the reflection of his own face in the glass. The scar tingles faintly, like a distant whisper. And Harry, for the first time in his life, feels what it is to be truly alone, not unloved, not abandoned, but separate from the fortress of home. Separate from the arms that have always caught him, heading towards Hogwarts, heading towards friends he hasn't met yet, heading toward danger he can't predict, heading toward the future prophecy promised. And he has no idea whether the person he is becoming will be enough. The Hogwarts Express feels like a moving threshold. Not because it's magical. Harry has grown up around magic so long that enchanted steam and self-pulling trunks barely register as unusual, but because it carries him into a world where his parents. Gravity no longer holds everything in place. The train is full of children who don't know him as Harry from Godric's Hollow, Harry who laws at Sirius's bad jokes, Harry who hates porridge unless Lily adds honey. They know him as a headline, a scar, a myth. And in the hallway outside his compartment, the whispers start almost immediately. That's him. I heard he can do wandless magic. My dad says his mum survived the killing curse. Someone says he's got you-know-whose powers in his head. Harry stares out the window and forces himself to breathe in time with the rhythm of the train wheels. In, out, in, out. He imagines the calm locked house in his mind like Lily taught him. He locks the door. He shuts out the sound. Then the compartment door slides open. Excuse me, do you mind? A boy with bright red hair stands in the doorway with a hopeful expression, and freckles scattered across his nose like constellations. He looks nervous, but not starstruck, more like he's worried about being rejected. Everywhere else is full, the boy says quickly. Can I sit? Of course. The boy drops his trunk in with a thunk and sits like he's been holding his breath for miles. I'm Ron, he says. Ron Weasley. He hesitates, eyes flicking up to Harry's forehead, then away again as if he's trying very hard not to be rude. Harry knows that look. The internal fight between curiosity and politeness. The effort to treat him like a person. Harry decides he likes Ron immediately. Harry, he says simply. Ron blinks. Just Harry? Harry nods. Just Harry. Ron grins, relieved. Brilliant. Because, well, everyone knows, obviously. But you're still just you, right? The question is so honest, so awkwardly kind, that Harry almost laughs. Yeah, he says, I'm still just me. They talk, and it's easy. Ron complains about having too many siblings. Harry admits he's never had siblings, and sometimes wonders what it would be like. Ron talks about Hogwarts in the affectionate, exasperated way of someone raised on stories. Harry talks about Quidditch, and Ron's eyes light up because Quidditch is a language children speak without pressure. When the trolley witch comes by, Ron buys too many sweets because he's been given pocket money and immediately decides to spend it like it's a moral duty. Harry tries a Bertie Bott's every flavor bean and gets earwax. Ron laughs so hard he nearly falls off the seat. Harry realizes, with a strange jolt, that this is what it feels like to be normal with someone, just a boy eating sweets on a train. The door opens again. Has anyone seen a toad? A girl with bushy brown hair and a voice that sounds like it has never hesitated walks in like she owns the corridor. Her eyes sweep the compartment and land on Harry with immediate recognition. You're Harry Potter, she says, not asking. Harry's stomach dips. Here we go. I've read about you, she continues briskly, in modern magical history, and the rise and fall of the dark arts, and great wizarding events of the 20th century. And you have a scar. Ron makes a strangled sound somewhere between awe and horror. Harry manages a polite expression. Apparently, I do. The girl doesn't seem to notice his discomfort. She notices everything else. Neville Longbottom's toad is named Trevor, she says, as if that's the most important fact in the world. If you see him, tell him. It's really irresponsible to lose a toad on a train. Then she leaves, as abruptly as she arrived. Ron stares after her. Blimey. Harry exhales. Intense. But there's something else under Harry's discomfort. Curiosity. Because the girl didn't look at him like he was holy. She looked at him like he was a fascinating problem in a book, which is better somehow. Still not perfect, but better. The rest of the ride passes in a blur of laughter, snacks, and conversation. Harry finds himself talking more than he expects. He tells Ron that his parents are alive. Ron nearly chokes on a pumpkin pasty. "They're alive?" Ron whispers, eyes huge. "James and Lily Potter?" Harry nods. Ron looks dazed. "My mum's told stories about them for years. Not like gossip, like heroes. She said your mum was the cleverest witch she ever met, and your dad was mad enough to duel Death Eaters while laughing." Harry smiles despite himself. That sounds like them. For the first time, Harry gets to say it aloud without it being a scandal. "My parents. Alive. Mine." The train arrives, and the world shifts. Black Lake. Boats. The castle rising like a fortress carved out of night. Harry feels a thrill in his chest, a deep sense of rightness. He has heard about Hogwarts his whole life, but seeing it is different. Hogwarts isn't just a school. It's a symbol of belonging, a home for people like him, a place where magic is normal. And yet even here, whispers follow. First years stare. Older students crane their necks. Prefects mutter about keeping crowds back. Harry keeps his face neutral. In, out, lock the door. Then they are herded into the great hall. Candles float. The ceiling is a storm of stars. 4 tables stretch long and loud and alive with house colors and chatter. Harry's heart pounds because now the entire school is staring at him, and this time it isn't a street crowd he can escape. This is 1,000 students who will see him every day for 7 years. Professor McGonagall calls names. Children walk forward, one by one. Hat, house, applause. Harry barely hears most of it. His senses narrow to the moment he knows is coming, when his name will be spoken and the room will lean forward like a creature smelling blood. Potter, Harry. The great hall does exactly what he expected. It hushes, then whispers bloom like sparks. Harry walks forward with controlled steps, sits on the stool, and feels the sorting hat settle onto his head. It smells dusty and ancient. And then the voice speaks inside his mind. "Ah, Harry Potter." Harry closes his eyes. "I've been expecting you," Harry thinks, tense. Everyone has. The hat's mental chuckle is soft. "Not everyone," it says. "But enough. So, where shall we put you?" Harry's mind flashes with his parents' voices. "Choose where you'll grow most. Don't choose for us." He thinks of Gryffindor, his parents' house, the one everyone expects, the one that would make sense to the world. He thinks of Ravenclaw, learning, knowledge, strategy. He thinks of Slytherin, cunning, survival, power, skills his parents taught him without naming. He thinks of Hufflepuff, loyalty, steadiness, kindness, the things Remus embodies. The hat is quiet for a moment, as if tasting his thoughts. "You have courage," it says. "You have brilliance. You have ambition, though you hide it behind duty. You have a hunger to understand. You also have fear." Harry's throat tightens. Fear of failing, fear of being used, fear of becoming nothing but prophecy. The hat's voice softens. "Where will you be most challenged? Where will you become who you need to be?" Harry thinks of what Lily said the night before he boarded the train. "Living is part of your weapon. You need to become whole." Gryffindor would be comfortable, he thinks. People would embrace him. They'd want him there. Ravenclaw would push him, he thinks. It would force him to grow into knowledge, and not just heroics. It would give him space to be clever, to be curious, to hide in books when the world is too loud. And it would give him something else, a way to be known for more than the scar. "I want Ravenclaw," Harry thinks. The hat pauses, as if surprised. "A choice," it murmurs, "a deliberate one." "Very well, Ravenclaw." The shout echoes through the hall. Blue and bronze explode into cheers. Harry stands, heart racing, and walks towards the Ravenclaw table. He catches sight of the staff table as he sits down, and there, among the teachers, James and Lily are watching. They are not supposed to be there. Not really. But Dumbledore has allowed it. A small mercy. A single moment. James looks startled, then breaks into a grin so proud it almost hurts. Lily's eyes shine, and she mouths, "I'm proud." Harry swallows hard and looks down, because if he looks too long, he will cry in front of the entire school. The feast begins, the noise returns, but now Harry is seated, claimed, belonging to something that isn't his parents. And for the first time, the whispers feel slightly further away. Ravenclaw students immediately swarm him with questions, but not the same questions. Not all of them are about Voldemort. What books have you read? Is it true you had tutors? Did your mum really invent a protection charm? Do you know any spells already? Harry answers carefully. He learns quickly that Ravenclaws are curious in a different way than the street crowds. Their interest can still be invasive, but it's less worshipful, less hungry. They want information, not relics. After the feast, the Ravenclaws climb the spiral stairs to their tower. Harry feels oddly calm. The view from Ravenclaw's common room is breathtaking. Wide windows, stars, the sense of being high above everything. The dormitory is comfortable. The beds are curtained. For the first time since boarding the train, Harry exhales fully. Then, in the quiet of night, the scar tingles, not strongly, just enough to remind him, "You're not free." The first weeks pass quickly, and Harry's preparation shows. He's ahead in charms because he already knows wand movements. He's ahead in transfiguration because Lily made him read theory for fun. He's ahead in potions because James insisted on understanding ingredients in case you ever have to make antidotes under pressure, which feels absurd until you remember who raised him. Harry tries not to show off. He tries to be careful. But competence draws attention the same way fame does. Hermione Granger, now officially a Gryffindor, becomes a familiar presence almost immediately because she seeks him out like he's a study partner the universe assigned her. "Your transfiguration was excellent," she says after class the first week. "How did you manage the needle so quickly?" Harry hesitates. "My mum taught me the theory years ago." Hermione's eyes blaze with delight. "She taught you before Hogwarts?" "That's extraordinary. My parents are dentists, so I had to learn everything from books. I read our textbooks early." Harry finds himself smiling. "Me too." And just like that, common ground. Ron, sorted into Gryffindor as well, complains loudly about homework and then secretly listens to Hermione and Harry talk theory, because he likes being included, even when he pretends not to. The three of them begin orbiting one another, pulled together by the gravitational truth that friendship forms fastest between people who are slightly out of place. Harry is famous. Hermione is too intense for most children. Ron is surrounded by siblings and still sometimes feels overlooked. Together, they fit. Halloween arrives with the familiar tension of memory. Harry hates Halloween more than he admits. It is the anniversary of the night Voldemort entered his nursery, the anniversary of Lily's decision, the anniversary of the scar. He feels his mood shift without wanting it to. He goes quieter. He watches doors too often. He checks exits. He flinches at sudden noises. Hermione notices. "You're jumpy," she says bluntly over breakfast. Harry stiffens. "I'm fine." "It's Halloween," Hermione says, and her tone becomes unexpectedly gentle for her. "It makes sense you'd feel strange." Harry swallows. Ron looks between them, confused. Why would... Then Ron's face changes as understanding dawns. "Oh, right. Sorry, Harry." Harry shrugs like it doesn't matter. But it does. That night, when Quirrell runs into the Great Hall shouting about a troll in the dungeons, Harry's instincts ignite because he recognizes the pattern. A troll doesn't just wander into Hogwarts. Someone let it in. Someone wants panic. And panic is cover. The professors react the way adults often do, loudly, urgently, following the first obvious danger. Harry's mind goes colder, sharper. If they send everyone back to their common rooms, he thinks. And if the troll is in the dungeons, then sending Slytherins down is. He stands. Professor McGonagall. He calls, voice cutting through the chaos. She turns sharply. If the troll is in the dungeons, the Slytherin dormitories are in the dungeons. Harry says quickly, "You can't send them down. You should keep everyone here until the professors confirm the troll's location and escort students safely." McGonagall freezes for half a heartbeat. Then her eyes narrow with fierce approval. "You're right," she snaps, immediately pivoting. "Prefects keep students in the Great Hall. No one moves until we know." The hall murmurs. Dumbledore's gaze slides to Harry, thoughtful. The troll is dealt with by the teachers. No students are injured. And afterward, in front of everyone, Dumbledore awards points to Ravenclaw for clear tactical thinking under pressure. Harry sits at his table feeling hollow. Because he didn't do it for points. He did it because his parents taught him that when danger erupts, you don't just react, you think. But the praise makes the whispers louder again. And now it isn't only Boy Who Lived whispers. It's brilliant whispers, strategist whispers, future Auror whispers. And that attention is dangerous too. Later that night, Harry sits with Hermione and Ron in a quiet corner of the common room. Hermione is buzzing with theories already. A troll is a distraction. Someone wanted access to somewhere during the chaos. Ron frowns. Like what? Harry's voice is low. The third-floor corridor. Ron's eyes widen. That's forbidden. Exactly, Harry says. Something is being protected. And someone tried to create panic so they could slip through unnoticed. Hermione's eyes sparkle. How do we find out what? Harry thinks of his parents. In canon, Harry's loneliness would have pushed him toward reckless heroics. In this timeline, Harry has been trained to do something different, to report, to gather evidence, to use the right channels before he risks his life. He pulls parchment and ink toward him. "I'm writing to my parents," he says, "and to Dumbledore, if I have to." Ron blinks. "You can just write to Dumbledore." Harry shrugs. "I can try. My parents know him personally. They told me if I ever thought Hogwarts was unsafe, I should tell an adult immediately." Hermione nods vigorously. "That's sensible." So Harry writes. He tells James and Lily about the troll, about the corridor, about Quirrell's nervousness. He doesn't accuse. He doesn't dramatize. He lays out facts like Lily taught him. Clean, precise, clear, because facts are weapons too. The reply comes the next morning. Not an owl. A fireplace. The Ravenclaw common room is quiet in the early hours, and the flames flare green, and Lily's face appears in the fire like a living portrait. Several Ravenclaws freeze, staring, half-awed. Harry ignores them. "Mom." Lily's eyes scan him quickly, checking for injuries the way she always does. "Are you all right?" "I'm fine," Harry says. "But I think someone tried to use the troll as a distraction." Lily listens as he explains. Her expression grows harder with every word. "I'm speaking to Dumbledore," she says when he finishes. "Today. And Harry, promise me you will not investigate alone." "I won't," Harry says immediately. Then, because he's honest, he adds, "But I want to know what's being protected." "You can want to know," Lily says firmly. "But wanting knowledge doesn't give you the right to put yourself in front of danger." Not at 11. Harry feels frustration rise, then forces it down with a breath. Okay, he says, because part of growing up is learning when to accept boundaries. Lily's expression softens slightly. Make friends, Harry. Be a student. You're allowed to just learn. Harry nods. When the fire goes dark again, Hermione and Ron stare at him like he's grown another head. Your mum just called you through a fireplace, Ron whispers. Harry shrugs. We have a family flow line. It's normal for us. Ron looks faintly offended at the universe for giving Harry a normal that includes emergency fireplace communications with war heroes. But Hermione looks thoughtful. That's what adults should do, she says. They should respond when a child reports danger. In books, adults are always useless. Harry smiles slightly. My parents refuse to be useless. Dumbledore increases protections around the third-floor corridor. Quirrell grows more tightly watched. And for a while, Hogwarts feels safe enough. Until Harry begins noticing Quirrell's attention on him. Not the obvious kind. Not a teacher praising a famous student. Something else. Quirrell watches Harry like a man staring at a locked door he believes he has a key for. Sometimes, when Harry catches his eyes, Quirrell flinches as if burned. Once, in the library, Harry hears Quirrell whispering in a harsh, unfamiliar hiss. It might be nothing, but Harry's scar tingles when he hears it. And Harry has learned to respect his instincts. He tells Hermione. He tells Ron. They start watching patterns. Which nights Quirrell leaves the staff table early. Which corridors he avoids. Which doors he lingers near. By Christmas, they have enough pieces to see the shape forming underneath. The Philosopher's Stone. Hermione finds the name first in a dusty book of alchemical legends. Nicholas Flamel. Elixir of life. Immortality. Harry's blood goes cold. If Voldemort wants to return, he says quietly he'd need a body, a way to anchor himself back into flesh. The stone could do that. Ron swallows. You think you know who is? Not gone, Harry says, voice tight. Just waiting. My parents told me that. Dumbledore told me that. Hermione's eyes are fierce. Then we have to stop it. Harry nods. But not like canon. Not alone. Not with reckless heroics born from desperation and neglect. Harry has grown up with a different rule carved into him. You do not fight a war you cannot win just to prove you're brave. You survive. You choose the right battles. You bring backup. So when June comes, and Harry realizes Quirrell is making his move, he does not grab Ron and Hermione and descend through a trapdoor like a child playing hero. He runs, straight to Dumbledore. They burst into the headmaster's office breathless, faces pale, urgency burning in their bones. Headmaster, Harry says, voice shaking slightly, despite his training. Professor Quirrell is going for the stone tonight. Dumbledore's eyes sharpened instantly. Evidence? Harry lays it out. Patterns, overheard whispers, suspicious behavior, library research. Dumbledore listens without interrupting. When Harry finishes, Dumbledore stands. You have done precisely what you should have done, he says quietly. You have gathered information, you have shared it with authority, and you have not placed yourself in unnecessary danger. Then his voice turns cold. Now, we shall see what Professor Quirrell truly is. What happens next moves quickly. Dumbledore acts with the speed of a man who has been waiting for this moment. He catches Quirrell at the entrance to the protections. He reveals the truth, Voldemort's spirit clinging to the professor, hiding, feeding, waiting for the stone. The confrontation is brutal, but it is between adults with power, not children forced into battle. Harry, watching from behind Dumbledore's protective line, feels relief and shame at once. Relief that he didn't have to face Voldemort. Shame that part of him wanted to, because prophecy has taught him to measure himself by confrontation. Voldemort flees again, weaker but not gone. Quirrell is captured, broken, sobbing, half mad. The stone is moved, eventually destroyed. The year ends with Ravenclaw winning the House Cup. Yes, but the points are not the real victory. The victory is that Harry survives his first year without being carved open by the world's demand for child heroism. At home that summer, James and Lily are proud. "You did exactly right," James says, gripping Harry's shoulder. "Exactly right. You acted like a strategist, not a martyr." Lily hugs him so tightly he almost can't breathe. "I'm proud of you," she whispers. "You trusted us. You trusted Dumbledore. You didn't try to carry the world alone." But Harry's eyes are distant. "I didn't face him," Harry says quietly. James frowns. "And that's good." Harry shakes his head. "The prophecy says, I'm the only one who can kill him. If he keeps trying to return, and I keep letting other people handle it, what if I fail when it matters?" Lily cups his face. "Harry, listen to me. The prophecy is not a schedule," she says firmly. "It doesn't mean you have to fight him every time his shadow appears. It means that when the final moment comes, you will be the one to end it. But you can't end it if you die at 11, because you wanted to prove something." James's voice is gruff. "Your job right now is to grow, to learn, to become strong enough to survive the final moment." Harry nods slowly. He wants to believe them. He does. But the scar tingles that night, faint and persistent, like the universe whispering, "Soon." Second year arrives, and Hogwarts gets darker. Not because the castle changes, because Harry does. Because now he knows for certain that Voldemort can slip into places, can possess, can hide, can reach. And because the moment the Chamber of Secrets is opened, Harry learns something about himself that will change how the entire school looks at him. It happens at the dueling club. A snake appears, summoned for drama. A student screams, and Harry, without thinking, hisses one word in a language that feels like instinct. "Stop." The snake obeys. The entire room falls silent. Then the whispers explode. He's speaking to it. That's Parseltongue. Only the heir of Slytherin can. Harry stands frozen, heart hammering, as faces twist from awe into suspicion. In canon, Harry's fear would have been lonely. He would have retreated angry and hurt, with no parents to steady him. Here, the response is immediate. He writes to his parents with shaking hands. And within hours, James and Lily arrive at Hogwarts like a storm. They march into Dumbledore's office, Harry between them, and Harry has never felt so small and so protected at once. Dumbledore explains gently, "Parseltongue is likely a symptom of the connection, a remnant of Voldemort's soul clinging to Harry." "So I have his power inside me?" Harry asks, feeling sick. Dumbledore corrects softly. "You have a link. That is not the same as being him. But the school doesn't care about nuance. The school cares about fear, and fear needs a target. Harry, the boy who lived, becomes Harry, the boy who might be dark." Students whisper in corridors. Some step away when he passes. Even some Ravenclaws who once wanted his intelligence now look at him like he's a puzzle with teeth. Harry tries to stay calm. He tries to lock the door in his mind. But he is 12, and being treated like a monster hurts. Then Hermione is petrified, and something in Harry goes cold and furious. Because Hermione didn't fear him. Hermione didn't worship him. Hermione treated him like a mind, like a friend. And now she is stone on a hospital bed because someone opened the chamber. Harry refuses to let fear paralyze him. He sits with Ron, staring at Hermione's clenched hand, the scrap of paper she managed to hold. They read the clue. Basilisk, Pipes, moaning myrtle. Harry's scar tingles sharply, as if recognition is mutual. Monster, ancient, deadly. Ron's voice shakes. We should tell a teacher. Harry nods. We do. They tell McGonagall. They tell Dumbledore. But before action can fully unfold, Ginny Weasley is taken, and time stops being a concept. Now it is a knife. Now it is seconds. Ron is white with terror. Harry's voice is steady in a way that scares even him. I know where the entrance is, he says. Ron swallows. Your parents said, I know. Harry snaps, then softens. But Ron, she'll die if we wait. Harry writes one line to his parents with hands that don't shake because the fear has become too focused for shaking. Ginny taken. I'm going in. I'm sorry. Then he and Ron descend into the chamber. Not for glory, not for curiosity. Because sometimes heroics are necessary. The chamber is worse than Harry imagined. Wet stone, old bones. The echo of something breathing in the dark. Tom Riddle's memory waits like a smile carved into paper. And the basilisk rises like an ancient nightmare. Harry fights like someone trained. He uses reflections. He uses positioning. He moves like James taught him, not standing still, not panicking, not freezing. When Fawkes arrives with the sorting hat, the moment feels like destiny itself reaching down. Gryffindor's sword appears. Harry grips it, and he kills the basilisk. It is violent, desperate, brutal, not cinematic, not neat. Blood, venom, heat. The fang pierces Harry's arm. Pain explodes. Venom floods his veins like fire. For a few terrifying seconds, Harry realizes, this is how you die. Not in a grand duel, but in an underground chamber while you're 12 years old. Then Fawkes's tears heal him. Harry survives. Tom Riddle's diary is stabbed, destroyed, screaming as it dies. Ginny lives. The chamber closes. When James and Lily arrive this time, they arrive not as calm parents responding to a letter. They arrive as terrified survivors who realize their son can still slip beyond their reach. Lily holds Harry and shakes. James's voice is raw. You could have died. Harry, pale and exhausted, says quietly, but I didn't, and Ginny didn't either. The argument is furious, heartbreaking, full of love and fear colliding. And Dumbledore, watching, says something that hangs in the air like a truth no one wants. The prophecy does not care how old he is. It only cares that he lives long enough to finish. Second year ends with applause. It ends with the school declaring Harry a hero again, despite months of suspicion. It ends with people laughing nervously about that whole air of Slytherin thing, as if fear can be scrubbed away with relief. It ends with professors congratulating him, with students cheering because the basilisk is dead and the petrified are restored, and Hogwarts feels safe again. But Harry knows something now that he didn't know in first year. He knows what it feels like to bleed for real. He knows what it feels like to stand in a chamber older than the castle itself and realize that myth isn't harmless when it grows teeth. He knows what it feels like to almost die, not in a heroic blaze, but in a choking rush of venom. And he knows, in a way that makes him quiet on the train ride home, that saving people can cost you pieces of yourself if you don't learn how to carry it. James and Lily see that quietness immediately. They don't scold him for the chamber the way they did the first night in the hospital wing. They've already had that argument. They've already said all the things parents say when terror meets love. You could have died. You should have waited. You shouldn't have been forced into this. Now they do something else. They adjust, because this is the difference between this timeline and canon. Harry doesn't return to an abusive house that pretends nothing happened. He returns to parents who notice the hairline cracks in him and refuse to pretend they aren't there. For the first week of summer, they don't train him. They let him sleep. They let him sit in the garden and fly lazily in circles, without time goals or drills. They let Sirius drag him into ridiculous prank planning that involves no real danger and plenty of laughter. They let Remus take him on long walks where he doesn't have to talk if he doesn't want to. They let him be 12. And then, slowly, when Harry's eyes stop looking like he's still in that underground chamber, Lily sits him down at the kitchen table with a cup of tea that is mostly honey and says, "We need to talk about what the diary really was." Harry's fingers tighten around the mug. "I destroyed it." "Yes," Lily says softly, "and I'm proud of you for saving Ginny." But Harry, the diary wasn't just a cursed object. It was a piece of Voldemort. James sets a heavy book on the table. One Lily has been keeping hidden behind wards of her own. Its cover is plain, but the magic around it feels old and sharp. "Dumbledore has been researching," Lily continues. "And so have we. There are ways a wizard can split his soul." Harry's scar tingles faintly, as if listening. The word comes reluctantly, like speaking it gives it power. Horcrux. Harry tastes it, unfamiliar. Horcrux. A fragment of soul placed into an object, Lily explains, voice steady. It anchors the wizard to life. It makes them hard to kill permanently. Harry's mind jumps instantly. That's how Voldemort survived the rebounded curse. Yes, James says grimly, his body was destroyed, but his soul wasn't whole. Pieces of it were tied to the world, like nails holding him in place. Harry stares at the tabletop. Then he says the thought that has been crawling under his skin since Dumbledore first said the scar carried dark magic. And the piece in me? James and Lily go still. The silence is answer enough. Lily's eyes shine, but she doesn't look away. "We don't know for certain," she says carefully, "but it's possible." When the curse rebounded, something tore, something latched. Harry's throat tightens. "That's why I can speak Parseltongue." Lightly, James admits. Harry's hands tremble slightly. "So No," Lily says instantly, fierce. "You are not him. You are not dark. You are not corrupted. If there is anything inside you, it is an infection, not an identity." Harry exhales shakily. But the idea sits in him like ice. He might be carrying Voldemort in the only place Voldemort cannot be defeated by wand or sword. Inside, third year should be lighter. In canon, third year is fear. Sirius Black, Dementors, betrayal. Here, Sirius is alive, laughing, present, very much not an escaped convict. But something else replaces that plotline's darkness. The Dementors. The Ministry still stations them around Hogwarts for safety, because in a world where Voldemort's return is only a matter of time, the Ministry is obsessed with appearances. They want to look like they are doing something. They want to seem in control. And Dementors are control dressed as protection. The first time Harry feels one, it isn't a lesson. It's a rush of cold while he's walking across the grounds. The air turns thin. The sound drains away. And suddenly Harry is back in the nursery, not remembering it like a memory, feeling it like a wound. Green light. Lily screaming. James shouting. Harry's own baby cry echoing as if it's happening now. He drops to his knees, hands clamped over his ears. He can't breathe. He can't think. He can only feel terror so old it doesn't even have words. When the Dementor is driven away by professors, Harry is trembling, sick, humiliated. He writes to his parents that night. "I felt it. It made me hear things. It made me feel like I was dying." Their response is immediate. Not panic, action. They arrive at Hogwarts within days, furious with the Ministry, furious with the idea that creatures that feed on despair have been placed near their son. But the Ministry doesn't care, and Hogwarts cannot refuse without sparking a political war. it may not win. So James and Lily do what they always do. They prepare Harry to survive reality, not the world they wish existed. Remus Lupin becomes defense professor that year, and it changes everything. Because now Harry is being taught by someone who truly understands what fear does to a mind. And because Remus refuses to treat Harry like a symbol, he treats him like a student, like a child who deserves tools, not expectations. Patronus, Remus says during private lessons after Harry collapses on the train during a Dementor encounter. It's advanced, yes, but you can learn it. Harry's voice is hoarse. My parents said it's difficult. It is, Remus agrees gently. But difficult isn't impossible. And Harry, your mind has been trained since you were 3. You know how to lock doors. You know how to breathe. That discipline will help you. Harry tries. At first, it's a joke. Silver mist. Nothing solid. The Dementor image in his head keeps dragging him towards the nursery, toward green light, toward his mother's scream. But Remus keeps him steady. Focus on something that makes you want to live, Remus says quietly. Not something that makes you proud. Not something that makes the world clap. Something that is yours. Harry thinks of Lily humming while she cooks. He thinks of James's laugh when Harry does a perfect broom turn. He thinks of Sirius teaching him to play cards. He thinks of Remus reading him stories. He thinks fiercely of being held. And suddenly, the spell doesn't feel like performance. It feels like defense, expecto patronum. Light bursts out. Not mist this time. A shape. A stag. It erupts from Harry's wand in a silver charge that fills the room with bright, living force. Remus stares, stunned. James's stag. Harry's breath is ragged. What does that mean? It means, Remus says softly, voice thick, that you're your father's son in more ways than one. Harry feels something in his chest unclenched. Because for once, the connection isn't to Voldemort, it's to love. 4th year is the year the world stops pretending Harry is a child. The Triwizard Tournament returns, glittering with tradition and danger, disguised as sport. Hogwarts celebrates. The Ministry beams. Foreign schools arrive. And Harry, now 14, watches it all with a sick, knowing calm. Because in this timeline, he has never been allowed to forget one crucial truth. People will always find ways to put him in danger, even when they smile while doing it. So when his name emerges from the goblet of fire, despite the age line, despite his refusal, despite everything, Harry doesn't feel surprise. He feels confirmation. James and Lily arrive at Hogwarts so fast it's like they are parroted through the walls. This is a trap, James says, face pale with rage. Someone put your name in to get you killed. Can I refuse? Harry asks, already knowing the answer. Dumbledore's voice is heavy. A binding magical contract. Refusal would cost you your magic. Lily's jaw clenches. Then we don't treat it like a tournament. We treat it like war training. So they prepare Harry not like a school champion, but like a mission. They research dragons and flying patterns and how to read a creature's movement before it strikes. They practice spells that Hogwarts would never teach in class. They train endurance. They train reflex. They train strategy. Harry enters the first task and wins, not because he is reckless, but because he is prepared. He summons his broom, uses seeker instincts, stays mobile, refuses to get cornered. When the second task chooses his most precious people, the hostage is not a new romance, not a school crush. It is his parents. Seeing James and Lily chained beneath the lake hits Harry like a gut punch. Not because he doubts they'll survive, but because it forces him to look at his deepest truth. He can't imagine a life without them. He rescues them, of course, but he also rescues someone else, too. Because Harry has grown up with love as his foundation, and love does not let you leave another child to drown just because it isn't your job. That earns him points. It also earns Lily a look afterward that is equal parts pride and fear. You can't save everyone, she says quietly. Harry wipes water from his face. I had time. Lily doesn't argue, but Harry sees the pain behind her eyes, the awareness that someday, in a war, time will not exist. The third task is where the trap finally closes. The maze is built to confuse, to isolate, to disorient. Harry moves through it like a trained fighter. He listens. He stays calm. He keeps his wand up. He remembers exits and angles and spacing. He reaches the cup at the same time as Cedric Diggory. Cedric is panting, bleeding from a scratch, looking dazed. He's been trying to be a good champion, not a soldier. Take it, Cedric says breathlessly. You've earned it. Harry shakes his head. Together, it's a trap either way. They grab the cup together. The world folds. They land in a graveyard. And Harry's scar detonates in pain. It is so sharp it steals his breath. He barely has time to register the shape of the place. Tombstones, moonlight, a cauldron, before a figure steps out of the shadows. Peter Pettigrew. Alive. Harry's blood turns to ice. Because in this timeline, Pettigrew's betrayal was uncovered long ago. He should be in Azkaban, which means, if he is here now, something has gone wrong on a scale Harry hasn't even imagined. Cedric begins to speak, and Pettigrew kills him. Avada Kedavra. Green light, Cedric's body hits the ground with a dull finality that makes Harry's stomach lurch. No, Harry breathes, and the word is torn out of him. He tries to move. He can't. He is bound. Ropes of magic cinch around him, dragging him to a gravestone. He hits the stone hard, gasps, tries to wrench free, but the magic is too strong. The cauldron bubbles. And then Harry sees it. A bundle in Pettigrew's arms. Something small and grotesque, like a malformed infant, pale and raw. Voldemort, not fully formed, not alive in the way people mean alive, but present, waiting. Pettigrew chants. Bone of the father, unknowingly given, Harry's mind screams. Flesh of the servant, willingly sacrificed. Pettigrew cuts his own hand. Blood falls into the cauldron. Blood of the enemy, forcibly taken. Pettigrew slices Harry's arm. Pain bursts. Harry's blood spills into the potion like fate being poured. The cauldron erupts. Steam roars upward, and Voldemort rises. Not a spirit, not a whisper. A body, tall, pale, terrible, red eyes that fix on Harry like he is an object that finally returned to its rightful owner. Harry Potter. Voldemort hisses. Voice silk over steel. The boy who lived. How fitting that your blood should bring me back. Harry shakes, not from cowardice, but from shock, because all his preparation, all his years of training, all his strategic thinking, none of it has prepared him for the reality of being held helpless while a monster returns using him as an ingredient. This is not a duel. This is violation. Voldemort tortures him. Cruciatus. The pain is beyond anything Harry imagined. It isn't like venom. It isn't like a broken bone. It is pain that rewrites your understanding of the word. Harry screams until his throat is raw. Then Voldemort stops. Not from mercy, from satisfaction. And he calls his followers. Death Eaters appear in a circle of popping shadows, masks, cloaks, familiar names from James's lists. Harry hears Lucius Malfoy's silky voice. He hears Bellatrix's trembling devotion. He hears laughter. And through the haze of pain, Harry's mind grasps one principle his parents drilled into him above all else: survival. He can't win here. Not today. So he plays to Voldemort's ego. You need an audience. Harry spits, blood on his lips. You need to prove you can beat a 14-year-old. The circle hushes. Voldemort's eyes narrow. Then he smiles. Arrogance is his weakness. Very well, he says softly. We shall duel. He binds Harry's wand back into his hand, almost ceremonially. A show. A performance. And Harry, shaking, uses the only advantage he has. Voldemort wants to enjoy this. Spells fly. Harry blocks, dodges, moves behind gravestones, keeps his body low, uses cover, refuses to stand still. Voldemort is faster, stronger, crueler. But Harry has something Voldemort doesn't understand. Training rooted in love, not pride. Harry isn't fighting to look powerful. He's fighting to get home. Their wands connect. The air locks. Priori incantatem. Ghosts spill from Voldemort's wand, in reverse order. Cedric, Bertha Jorkins, Frank Bryce. Then James, Lily. Harry's breath catches violently. But they're not dead. These are echoes, imprints, residual magic from the night they survived. And that makes it worse, somehow, because the spell drags their near death back into the room like it's happening again. Run, Harry, James's echo urges, voice urgent. You can't beat him yet. Run. Lily's echo leans closer, eyes bright with fierce love. We're proud of you, she says. Now run. Harry does. He yanks the cup, drags Cedric's body, because he refuses to leave him, stumbles, bloodied, shaking, and touches the portkey. The world folds again. He crashes back onto Hogwarts grounds with a dead boy in his arms and a scream stuck in his throat. Chaos erupts. Teachers run. Students shout. Cedric's father wails. And then Harry sees them. James and Lily, in the stands, already moving, already sprinting. They reach him first. Lily drops to her knees and grabs Harry's face like she can't believe it's real. Harry, Harry, he can barely speak. He's back, he gasps. Voldemort's back. He used my blood. Cedric's dead. James's face goes white with rage and horror. Lily's hands shake as she holds Harry tighter. And for the first time since Harry was a baby, Lily looks like she might break. But she doesn't, because she survived. And if she survived once, she will survive again. The Ministry tries to deny it, of course. Fudge tries to spin it into an accident, tries to cover Voldemort's return with bureaucracy and lies. In canon, Harry would be isolated and doubted, forced to bear it alone. Here, the Potters go to war with the Ministry. They hold a press conference within days, and the wizarding world watches James and Lily Potter, alive, unbroken, furious, stand beside their shaking 14-year-old son and refuse to let truth be buried. My son faced Voldemort, Lily says into flashing cameras, voice iron. Voldemort has returned. Denying it will not protect anyone. Harry testifies under veritaserum. The truth becomes unavoidable. The wizarding world fractures. Some people believe the Potters immediately. Others cling to denial, because fear is easier when it has a leash called official statements. But Voldemort's return is real, and soon bodies start appearing with dark marks again, and denial stops being a political choice and becomes a death sentence. Fifth year arrives like a storm. It is the year of trauma and control. It is the year Harry wakes up sweating from dreams that aren't dreams. The connection through his scar strengthens, now that Voldemort has a body again. Harry feels flashes of emotion that aren't his: cold delight, rage, hunger. He sees places he's never been. He tastes ash in his mouth for no reason. He tells his parents immediately. I can feel him sometimes, Harry says in the kitchen at Godric's Hollow, voice quiet, like he's close, like my head isn't fully mine. James's hands clench. Oh, clemency. Lily nods sharply, immediately. And that is how Severus Snape enters their house again, like a knife pulled from an old wound. Snape arrives at Dumbledore's request, cloak snapping, face carved from bitterness. James's whole body tenses as if he's 15 again. Sirius bristles. Remus watches carefully, like someone stepping between two men who would happily set each other on fire. Harry, though, looks at Snape and sees something new after the pensieve incident that is coming. Not just cruelty, pain. Snape's voice is cold. If you are serious about protecting your mind, Potter, you will do as you're told. Harry nods. I'm serious. The lessons are brutal. Snape attacks Harry's mind over and over, forcing him to build walls under pressure, forcing him to learn that emotion is both strength and vulnerability. Harry resists. He locks doors. He learns to shut down panic and focus on stillness. And slowly, painfully, he improves. Meanwhile, James trains Harry physically ruthlessly because James cannot stand the idea of his son being helpless again the way he was in that graveyard. Their duels are not friendly practice. They are combat. James hits hard. Harry blocks, fails, gets hit again, learns, adapts, gets better. Lily teaches strategy and the darker truths. She teaches Harry about Horcruxes in full, showing him books so restricted they feel like poison to touch. We need to destroy them all, Lily says. Otherwise Voldemort can't truly die. Harry's voice is steady. Then we hunt them, and the war begins again, not with a bang, but with a slow tightening of the world. Umbridge arrives at Hogwarts to control the narrative. She denies Voldemort, punishes students, uses torture disguised as discipline. Harry's hand bleeds under the blood quill. In canon, that pain would have been private. Here, James and Lily find out within hours, and Lily's fury becomes something the Ministry can't quite contain. But Umbridge is protected by bureaucracy. So Harry does what his parents raised him to do. He builds resistance. Dumbledore's army forms earlier, stronger, more disciplined. Harry teaches not like a desperate boy trying to play hero, but like someone trained to survive. Defense isn't just spells, he tells them. It's thinking, it's movement, it's not freezing. He teaches them to fight smart. He teaches them to live. When Voldemort tries to lure him to the Department of Mysteries with false visions, Harry verifies first, because he has parents who taught him verification is survival. Sirius answers the flu, safe and annoyed. It's a trap, Sirius says immediately. He wants you to run in without backup. So they go with backup. Order members, experienced fighters, James and Lily at Harry's side. The battle in the Department of Mysteries is chaos, but it's not a teenage suicide mission. It's a war skirmish. And in that battle, the prophecy is destroyed. But Dumbledore tells Harry its contents anyway, because in this timeline, secrecy doesn't protect him. Knowledge does. Neither can live while the other survives. Harry hears it again, with older ears, and it doesn't feel like a story anymore. It feels like a contract written in blood. 6th year becomes the year of Horcrux hunting, the year of Dumbledore's private lessons, the year Harry learns that Voldemort isn't just a monster. He's a boy who chose to become one. It is also the year Dumbledore reveals the final cruelty. Harry carries a piece of Voldemort. You are the final Horcrux. To make Voldemort mortal, you must be willing to die. In canon, Harry receives that truth alone and walks into the forest alone. Here, the truth detonates inside a family. Lily refuses it with a grief so raw it turns to rage. James refuses it with violence in his voice. Sirius curses. Remus closes his eyes, haunted. Hermione searches for impossible alternatives. Ron goes pale and quiet, the way people do when a friend's death becomes real in front of them. But destiny doesn't soften for love. It only tightens its grip. Seventh year is the hunt. It's camping and cold and fear and endless movement. But it's not three teenagers alone in a tent. James and Lily support them from the shadows, resources, safe houses, information networks. They destroy the locket. They steal the cup. They find the diadem. The world collapses toward Hogwarts, toward the place where stories always end. And when the final battle comes, it is not tidy. Giants, fire, screams, spells like lightning. Harry fights beside his parents, not behind them, because he is old enough now and because he has been trained for this since he was a toddler breathing against panic. Then Nagini is killed. The last external Horcrux falls, and only one remains. Harry. They learn it for certain through Snape's memories. Snape dies, not as a villain, but as a man who carried love like a wound for decades. He gives Harry the truth, and Lily sees it, everything. Her own near death, Snape's devotion, Dumbledore's plan, Harry's fate. There is a moment in the room of requirement where the noise of battle feels very far away, like they're in the eye of a storm. Harry looks at his parents. He is 17 now, tall, scarred in more ways than one, strong enough to duel Death Eaters, strong enough to teach others to survive, strong enough to carry prophecy. And still, when he looks at Lily and James, he is their child. I have to do it, he says softly. Lily shakes her head violently, tears spilling. No, no, there has to be another way. James's voice breaks. We can find one. We will find one. Harry steps closer, and his voice is gentle, which is somehow worse than anger. I love you, he says, both of you, and that's why I can do this. Because you raised me with love, not fear. Because you didn't let me become him. He takes Lily's hands, presses his forehead against hers, like he did when he was 11, and afraid. I'm not going into the forest because I want to die, he whispers. I'm going because I want all of you to live. Ron makes a small sound like he's choking. Hermione is crying silently, fists clenched, like she's holding herself together with pure will. James's eyes are bright with tears, but his grip on Harry's shoulder is steady. If you go, James says hoarsely, then we end him. We end him for you. Harry nods. That's the point, he whispers. You end him for me, and I come back if I can. Lily's breath stutters. If you can. Harry's eyes are calm in a way that frightens her. Dumbledore said my choice matters, and my choice is this. I release the peace inside me. I let it die. Harry walks into the forbidden forest alone, because some things cannot be shared, even with love. But he doesn't walk into it abandoned. Behind him is the echo of every hand that ever held him. Every night, Lily hummed to him. Every time James laughed. Every time Sirius called him pup. Every time Remus read to him, like the world could be gentle. Voldemort waits in the clearing, wand raised, elder wand in his grip. Harry steps forward. No pleading, no bargaining, just truth. I forgive you, Harry says. Voldemort's face twists in confusion, because forgiveness is a language he never learned. Avada Kedavra, green light. Harry feels the Horcrux tear away like a screaming parasite, ripped from his soul. Then whiteness. King's Cross, or something like it, where Dumbledore waits, calm as always, beside a small, flayed creature that whimpers weakly. You did it, Dumbledore says softly. You released it. Can I go back? Harry asks. Yes, Dumbledore says. If you choose. Harry chooses. He wakes in the forest. He plays dead. He is carried back to Hogwarts, and Lily's scream when she sees his body is the sound of a world breaking. Then Harry rolls out of Hagrid's arms alive. The Horcrux is dead, he says, voice carrying. But I lived. And in that moment, something shifts, because Voldemort has lost the only thing that made him fearless: immortality. Now he is just a man with a wand, a powerful man, a cruel man, but mortal. The final duel happens in front of everyone. Harry faces Voldemort without the Horcrux inside him. No shared soul, no parasitic link. Just two wizards, two lives, bound by prophecy. Voldemort screams the killing curse. Harry casts Expelliarmus, not because it's flashy, but because it is his spell, his refusal to become a murderer for pride. Their spells collide. The Elder Wand refuses Voldemort. The killing curse rebounds. Tom Riddle falls, finally and permanently dead. Silence crashes down like a wave. Then the world breaks into sound. Cheers, sobs, the clatter of wands dropping. And Lily and James reach Harry first, collapsing into him like they are trying to stitch their family back together with their arms. You're alive. Lily sobs into his shoulder. You're alive. Harry's voice shakes, weak with exhaustion, but he manages a small, crooked smile. I told you, he whispers, I'd keep living. Epilogue comes later, softer. 19 years later, platform 9 3/4 is crowded again, but the air tastes different. No war behind the smiles, no dark mark in the back of anyone's mind. Just children and trunks and owls and nervous laughter. Harry stands with Ginny and their children, older now, scar still there but quiet. The scar is no longer a wound that burns. It is a reminder that he survived. James, Sirius Potter, worries about houses. Harry smiles and kneels, so he's eye level with his son. Houses don't define you, he says. Choices do. Behind him, James and Lily Potter approach. Older, still bright, still alive, still the impossible miracle that shaped everything. 3 generations stand together and watch the train take the next generation away. Lily squeezes Harry's hand. We did it, she whispers. Harry watches the train disappear. Yes, he says quietly. We did. And for the first time in his life, the whispers in the chamber go silent.